Cancel.
Schweezy.
Okay, Schwoke Lords, so bet you're wondering, you knew I was out of town. I had a wedding, and that was the main reason I went to Kansas City. I went back to Kansas City, some of my old stomping grounds, before I moved to the beautiful, wonderful city of Nashville. Nashville has to probably be one of my favorite places to live. And, it was different going back to Kansas City, and I want to talk about the entire trip. So that's what I'm here to do today, folks. And
I really like that.
So let's get into it. So let's start with, I left on Wednesday. I got back I went Wednesday night, so it wasn't really like a full day. And I got back Tuesday night, the following Tuesday night, because I can. And I was doing podcast stuff so I could justify the trip. That's a little life hack for you. If you can do something while you're trying to go somewhere, you can justify the trip. And so Wednesday's the day of the flight. So, I show up to the airport. Nothing really that special at the airport. I don't fly very much, but however, I will say this is the first time I've actually somehow in my 5 years of living here, I've actually had to fly out of Nashville. And I was like, I can't believe I went 5 years without actually having to actually fly out of somewhere like in Nashville. So that was pretty interesting. That was cool, but I didn't have any issues with TSA, which I don't go through TSA. Obviously, like I say, I don't fly very much. And so my idea is like, what if I have a bomb on me? And I'm like, I never have a fucking bomb on me. I'm like, I'm like, did I put my nail clippers in my bag? Shit like that, Shit they wouldn't even. And then it's like, you get through TSA, and it's like, oh. I always forget, TSA is never actually as long as you think it is, too. Unless it's like a lot of flights leaving at once, which I went for an evening flight, so I wasn't too worried. That's another trick too. I always assume like people always had to get up like extra early to go on a flight. And those are the flights I've been on in the past where like we had to leave like the crack of dawn in the morning. Because I guess the cheapest flights are super early or super late. And I realized I'm like, I'm not a morning person. Why don't I just go super late? Because I do not want to have to like wake up, and I'm always I have anxiety, so I'm always like worried about like waking up too late and I'm going to miss the flight. So why do I not do that and just do it in the evening? So I'm a big fan of evening flights, and you can too. Remember, you don't have to wake up early for a flight. You can just go in the evening. And if it's like my parents are always like, oh, you want to wake up early for the drive so you're not driving in the dark. I'm like, well, I'd rather drive in the dark when I'm fully awake than at like 6 a.m. when I'm like half asleep. Isn't that more safe to drive when it's a little dark and the car has lights? FYI. Anyway, that's just the thing here. I got like boarding group B45 on Southwest Airlines. But you're wondering, why did you choose Southwest Airlines? Because I know what I'm worth, folks. I know who I am. And I got like B45 on a flight to Kansas City, which is the weirdest shit I've ever seen. Like, I didn't know. I didn't even think 45 people just in the B group were going to Kansas City. And it's an hour and a half flight, so I'm like, I can suffer in a middle seat or whatever. No big deal. Luckily, I did get an aisle seat, which I do prefer because I usually have to pee a lot. But I was apparently able to hold it and do an hour and a half flight 2 ways. So, and I feel a little stuffy in the window. And I don't really care. I've seen clouds, so I don't really care. But yeah, before the flight, I do have to say, though, I ordered like 2 Moscow Mules and a can. I guess Gate D doesn't have like a proper bar, or it's a COVID thing. I don't know. It's one of the two. Don't have a proper bar. But anyway, I got like 2 Moscow Mules in a can and a beer. And I guess they were wondering if I was getting it for someone else. Because obviously, if you're like, I'm going to buy beer for a couple people, but like obviously, like, hey, we need to make sure everyone's legal drinking age you're buying for. And so I bought 2 Moscow Mules and a beer for me. And it's like, no, these are all for me. I just don't want to get up and take trips. There we go. So for the flight, we're going to go with my drink count before. Before the flight, I had 2 Moscow Mules and a beer. Then I proceeded, before I hopped on the plane, I bought a cherry Coke, which I did bring 4 little mini bottles of Jameson. I poured one of them into the cherry Coke. So I had that. I drank that on the flight, and then you get your complimentary. I got a Diet Coke because, I'm trying to stay healthy. For all of you out there, I bought a Diet Coke, and I drank that too. So that's how buzzed I was. And I guess, again, eventually, I make it to Kansas City, where the initial plan was Micah was supposed to pick me up, and he was supposed to have, a funny, creative sign, like, just because you're my cousin doesn't mean I can't marry you, or congratulations on your sex change. Nope, Micah didn't do any of that. He just tried to show up at the last minute possible, and his car's like, get in. And so Micah is a fucking terrible friend.
That's rough, buddy.
I wish I had better friends, but I guess I would have to deal with Micah, who let me stay with him for almost a week. So I guess that's the situation. He was supposed to come with me, but he was like, I am picking up you a little late. And I'm like, I'm sorry about that. I do want to stop at Quick Trip. I'll get you some food there, because I was wanting to get some garbage food at Quick Trip, which is a Midwest staple. For those of you who don't know, Quick Trip is straight up. It's like you're like, oh, you're eating gas station hot dogs. I'm like, no, these are good gas station hot dogs. So calm your goddamn fucking tits. So there's that. He gave me like I don't know what the specific brand was, maybe Michelob Ultra, but it was some form of a White Claw. So I chugged that on the drive. I was like, did you finish your seltzer? I'm like, yep, I did. And that was pretty good. So we went back to his house, and he insisted on us watching this movie called Willys Wonderland, which is about, it's starring Nicolas Cage, and it's about demon-possessed animatronic band like Chuck E. Cheese and stuff like that. So that's what we watched. We watched that. Nicolas Cage didn't say a single line in the entire movie, and I think Micah also. So Nicolas Cage didn't give me say a single fucking line in that entire movie. But Micah gave me 2 or 3 gin and tonics, so I was pretty buzzed. So I really enjoyed it. And I was just laughing the whole time. He still hasn't said a fucking line. I was basically that's how high my voice was when I was saying that. But I was still hungry, so I ordered a pizza. Only place open was 7-Eleven. So I ordered pizza from 7-Eleven. I think I tried McDonald's first, but they didn't. They just canceled my order. So I tried 7-Eleven. I guess they finished it. And I thought I ordered only 1 pizza. I was like, sorry, Micah, I didn't get food for you. And then it turns out I ordered 2 pizzas. So lucky Micah, he got to eat food.
Hashtag pray for Micah.
That's the end of Thursday. Wednesday. Sorry. Now we're getting to Thursday. Not a lot happened this day. First thing I did not write down, but I did remember when I was starting the show. The garbage apparently came today, and the garbage guy was not wearing a shirt. Now, for most of you wondering, is this Arkansas? No, this is Missouri, folks, so don't worry. It's Missouri. And you're like, oh, that still makes sense. Yeah, the garbage guy was not wearing a shirt, and I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on out here? Probably, I wasn't hungover, but it was like, I drank last night type of situation. Nothing really happened the entire day. I was just like playing Fortnite on Micah's TV and shit like that. Micah is like, I don't have anything planned for you. But anyways, we went to Aldi and Price Chopper to get like groceries and shit like that. And for reference, I apparently have to say this reference here. I'm going to pull up this conversation. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but this conversation here is going to come back to haunt us. And I want it to stay up right now. I want you all to read it. Read this conversation that me and Micah had about food. I want us all to remember this. It's still up. I want us all to remember it. And then go away now. Okay. So, yeah, he obviously didn't want me eating all his food as per the text message. And we'll come back later for all of us here. Because I was going to be there for a weekend, I guess he just didn't want me to. And I assume I didn't buy a lot at Aldi or Price Chopper because I knew I was not going to be there for very long, less than a week. And I knew I was probably just going to order food as well. So I'm not going to worry too much about this. I did end up buying some like booze. I bought like PBR, Jim Beam, ginger ale. And the following Monday, Micah drank half of that fucking bottle. And I'm still fucking mad at him for that. It's 3 p.m. You're drinking half that bottle. Don't you have fucking a job to do or shit like that? Don't get me started. We're going to get to Monday. Don't worry. We're going to get to Monday. Last thing about Thursday I feel like is important is I saw a sign that said, "Our city is the city of our God," which is not a correct sentence. And we need to address that, folks, in Kansas City. Kansas City, if you're a Christian and you have that sign in your lawn, you look illiterate. And you look as R-worded as I think. R-word meaning Republican, FYI. Remember that. But it should be the city of our God. I feel like is the proper sentence. But you don't need to say, "Our city is the city of our God." Stop that shit, Kansas City. You need to fix your shit. All right, so here we go. Let's get on to Friday. So the reason I took this trip was to go to a friend's wedding. And so this wedding is in Harrisonville, Missouri, which is like a 45-minute drive outside of Kansas City, like where I'm staying. And so, I'm asking her, I was maybe going to take an Uber to get there. And I was like, maybe I can get a friend to take me there. And so it's the day of the wedding, and my buddy Austin Doyle, maybe you put up a picture here. He said, "Yeah, I can give you a ride." And I said, "Okay, cool. We need to leave at 3:30. Wedding's at 5. 3:30 is plenty of time." I assumed he'd be late. He's the type of guy who's late to everything. So I assumed with a 45-minute drive with a guy who's late to everything, I feel like saying that early is a good time. So the same day, he's just like, "I'm going to buy a new car." Okay. Ben's basically, he's going to buy a new car. And so I'm like, "Hey, man, we're so cool today," and shit like that. So he's like, "Yeah," and, figuring everything out. And so he's like, "Hey, can you meet me at my place? That way I can just pick you up and we can just go ahead and leave." I'm like, "Okay." Also never been to this home of his that he's had. So I'm like, "Okay." So I get my Uber or whatever, and I get my ride there. And I show up. And so I'm like, I call him like, "Hey, man, I'm at your house. Which apartment is yours?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not home." I'm like, "Okay, I'll be there in 15 minutes. I'm like, "Okay. If you need to, you could sit on my porch." Okay. It's like a porch type of situation where everything's like everyone's porch is connected. So I'm standing on someone's porch, not his probably. So, 15 minutes passed. I call him because he said he was 15 minutes away. And I was like, "Hey, man, what's your estimated time of arrival?" "Oh, I'm still 10 minutes away." I'm like, "Okay. You should have told me that 15 minutes ago." And so 10 minutes then pass. Rain starts pouring down heavily. And I'm like, "Oh, hey, man, where the fuck?" I keep just dialing. I'm like, "Where the fuck are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm like 10 minutes away." I'm like, and I guess eventually it's like 4:15 shows up. And I'm like, "Well, I guess I'm going to be fucking late to this wedding." And he's like, "Wait, you said you didn't have to leave till 4:30. I'm like, "No, I said 3:30. There's a read receipt." And I do have the read receipt. I'm not going to pull it up. I don't feel like pulling it up. And so he's like, "Oh, fuck." And then he actually shows up 10 minutes later. And eventually I show up like 10 minutes late to the wedding, but I do sneak in, be able to see everything. So that didn't happen. So that was good. At least I fucking made it on time. But I wasn't giving Austin $30 for giving me a ride there. That's for sure. And then eventually, the reception happens. The thing is with this wedding, though, the only people I know, the groom, I think I never met the bride until this wedding. The groom and all the groomsmen. I don't know anyone else. Like literally every single groomsman I know and no one else at this wedding. So, I'm like, just having casual conversations with people. And they have an open bar, which means I drank way too much. I had wine. And today is the day I realized I am no longer allowed to drink wine anymore because it's way too easy to drink. Basically, I'm having a conversation with everyone, probably not smart ones. I end up passing out. Now, in my mind, I was like, I'm just going to take a nap on this table real quick. If you ever think that in your mind, you're not taking a nap on a table, you're passing out. And then everyone's like, yeah. And so I guess they called Micah on my phone, and Micah's almost coming to get me, but some dude in a blue truck took me back to Micah's place in Kansas City, which I was supposed to party with them afterwards, but apparently I just ruined everything. Good times for everyone. Eventually some dude, he's singing country music. This guy's from Nashville, but he likes country music. I'm like, "No, I don't. Not a lot of country music. I don't like a lot of country music." So that happens. Memories keep coming back to me. So I know that's how I'm glad I know I wasn't roofied. Because there's one wedding I went to that I was roofied. I don't remember anything. It'd be nice if I did remember something. But apparently when I got back to Micah's house, I said shit like, "I'm going to kill myself. My life is fucking worthless." I think I just embarrassed. I feel like I wasn't just embarrassed, passed out. And, it's just so depressing shit. I'm like, I don't think I mean that. And, I was like, I'm going to spend this weekend just, going on a nice little bender. And I did that. And I'm like, man, it's my first time back around people. I just fucking embarrassed myself. And that's just my life. I'm just getting over it. So apparently I was talking about killing myself and saying shit like that I don't mean.
That's rough, buddy.
So if you ever feel like you're going to kill yourself, if you get drunk and say you're going to kill yourself, but actually don't mean it, don't get drunk. And I don't drink wine anymore because apparently I don't know my limits with wine. And I'd like to know my limits with alcohol. So that was Friday. Very, very sad fucking day for me.
That's rough, buddy.
Next up, we got Saturday. So I did wake up like weirdly early. Sometimes you just wake up stupidly early when you're hungover or drink too much. And Micah shows up. He's like, hey, you're going to come with me. We're going to do 2 hours worth of errands. And we're going to talk about what the fuck you said last night. And I told him that if you make me move, I'm going to throw up. And that's the secret for Micah, to get him to leave you alone. And it's like, oh, well, now he knows you lied to him. It's like, does he? Because I could have thrown up. And, yeah, that's the thing like that. So I had to avoid that conversation, which, in my mind, it was just like, I don't really mean what I said. Just type of shit like that. I just kind of drank too much and embarrassed myself. So, later that day, we are planning to go to Monster Truck Jam, maybe. I don't know what it's fully called. I just kind of showed up. Someone had a ticket for me. At Arrowhead Stadium, the nation's most racistly named stadium in the United States. Arrowhead Stadium for the Chiefs, which it's like a race. It's not a mascot. It's like, we're the Negroes and we're the new sports team. Like, that's not a mascot. Pick a new one. So apparently we go to the racist stadium. That's what we're planning on doing. We wanted to tailgate and stuff, but like rain was like all that 50-50. It's like, it's going to sprinkle, then it's going to stop and sprinkle again, stop, blah, 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 blah. So then we all decided just to hang out at Micah's beforehand. And I was hoping we'd all play Jackbox Party Packs because I did buy that for for like parties and shit like that on my Switch, but I've never got to use it properly. But apparently we didn't do that. We just talked and like good friends. So yeah, we all just ended up hanging out at Micah's house, talking shit like that. So we got the gang we're going to hear. Everyone's nicknames for me. Big Guy, which is Micah. Tommy Buns, Foreman, and Frizzle. Or Frizzy McGuire, as I like to call her. I felt like the fifth wheel because Foreman and Frizzle are married, and then Big Guy and Tommy Buns are like, basically act like a couple already. And so I'm here just being a little fifth wheel, doing that shit. And like, Micah bought a lot of stuff like that, but I did have burgers and buns and shit left over. So I did still pay for all my own food. So don't act like I didn't, Micah. So yeah, that all that shit and stuff like that. So another good thing before we get to the Monster Truck Show is I did take 2 hits of a bong, and then we head out to Monster Jam. So that was fun. And so I take heavy antidepressants for my anxiety. And so the one thing with weed is I don't think I appreciate it as much as most people. And because it's just kind of like, I'm going to make my antidepressants a little bit stronger. That's what it feels like to me. So I just show up high, and because it's so similar to my medication, I never notice it. And so basically, you'd feel like I'd be getting super drunk and acting obnoxious at something like this. Nope, I'm just sitting there like monster trucks, like crashing into shit, I'm just sitting there frozen. But then, yeah, our friend Tommy Buns, who is from Florida, so
that's rough, buddy.
Who got the tickets for all of us, was the one who decided that we were going to get tickets directly in the sun. So for like the first 1/3 of the show, we were like, I don't bring sunglasses anywhere because I'm not a wimp, but other people do. But I was like, this is not fun. But then I'm also high at the same time. So that's that. So it was a really fun show. I really enjoyed Monster Trucks. You know what?
I like that.
So that's one thing I will always say. I did enjoy the Monster Trucks. It was better when they actually crashed and did shit. It's always fun to me. Hopefully y'all follow me on Instagram. You could have saw that, but it's too late now. That was really fun. So we eventually go back to Micah's place. I guess Frizzle and Foreman had to go back to their little party, or what? Had to go to a party. But no, then I'm like, I'm gonna order pizza, Micah. Where should I get pizza at? And he's like, Cody Shack. I'm like, okay. And so I tried to look them up online to order. Like, they don't do online orders. They only do over the phone. I'm like, God damn it. Now I have to talk to someone over the phone. So yeah, I have to talk to someone over the phone to order fucking pizza. And the pizza's a little expensive. And the taste is not there, folks. So Caddyshack, it's not bad. And it's open late. But it's not worth the price. So me and Tommy basically split a pepperoni pizza. Micah almost eats an entire meat lovers pizza. I think Tommy took 1 or 2 slices, but Micah eats so fucking much. Like, I thought I eat a lot, but I've kind of like narrowed myself like 1 meal a day, just 1 big ass meal a day. Micah just does so much. Like, at one point, I think I saw him order a frozen pizza, like a meat lovers frozen pizza, and then add like a charcuterie board, or however you say it, worth of meat on top of it, like so much. Eat the whole thing for lunch. That's 1 meal. For me, like how much food he put on that shit would be like my entire calories for the day. But that dude eats so fucking much.
Hashtag pray for Micah.
Yeah, then Micah's high, obviously, and then he's like, we gotta watch this Kaleidoscope video, and so he's put on this boring ass Kaleidoscope video with this boring ass music on another speaker, and then he's mad at me for being bored. You're bored? Like, weren't you watching the Kaleidoscope change color? I'm like, yeah, not all of us are brain damaged like you. We don't do drugs every single day of our lives to try to function in life. And so eventually Tommy's like, let's watch some funny videos. So we watch funny videos like normal fucking people do.
And I really like that.
And it was fun. And then Tommy leaves, and yeah, it was a good night. It was a good night. All right, we get to Sunday. So Micah's starting his own podcast, which should be coming out in the next month or so. So it's really cool. I don't want to spoil anything for that, but he needs kind of help, doing it. But he said he wanted to do a cancel Schweezy, so I showed him how I set everything up on my podcast and recorded it, so you kind of get an idea of how we did. So if you haven't checked out episode 39 with Micah Chrisman,
hashtag pray for Micah,
you need to go check that out now. It's really definitely a fun episode, one of the funnest cancel Schweezy I will remember always doing. One thing is fun with that, I do tell a story about him and his mom and me. So the shirt I wear during the episode, Micah apparently bought a bunch of shirts from China, and none of them fit. So I just looked at them, see if I liked any of them. I like this one. I'll give you $10 for it. So I sent him $10 on Venmo. And Venmo obviously should have you put a reason for your purchase. So I was like, hardcore anal. And then his mom sees it and comments on it like, nasty Sam. It's like, your mom, we need to get your mom a hobby because she needs something fucking to do, dude. Like, she can't be just looking at people. If you're looking at Venmo transactions, I never get on Venmo unless I'm paying someone something. So I never see what anyone else is doing. But if you're looking at Venmo transactions because you're bored, get yourself a fucking life. Okay, so, eventually we do the podcast. Here's the food argument that I mentioned. So basically what the plan was. So we're going to finish the podcast. I guess we do the friendship questions and we do the news. And so I was like, okay, cool. You got to go to this. So we're going to finish up here. I'll clean up, tear everything down, and then you can go to there. I'm probably just going to order some food or whatever and get it sent to me. After I said that, Mike is like, I bought all these groceries for you, and you're not going to eat any of it. I'm like, what? I remember the read receipt. We showed it earlier in this episode. I told you I'm going to pay for all my own food. That's why I didn't buy very much. First of all, I never said that I'm going to eat any of your food and shit like that. And I'm not. And he made all this food that first of all, I'm a picky eater. So I don't even like this shit. I don't even like half the shit he made. He put onions in fucking everything. I fucking hate onions. So he's like, you're not going to eat any of this food that I made specifically for me that you're not going to eat. I'm like, Micah, no. Like, I told you I'm not going to make you pay for my food. Come up. And then he's basically telling fucking everyone else that I'm like, I bought all this food for him and he's not eating it. I'm like, well, Micah, they're not going to pick my side, but they're going to pick your side. So at least I'm going to show the read receipts and at least show I'm honest. So that was fucking annoying. Micah thinks that I said, I'm going to buy my own food. And then he buys all these groceries for himself. And he's like, you're not going to eat any of this? I'm like, no, I don't fucking like onions in anything. So anyway, as that fucking argument comes up, he's like, you're not going to eat any of my leftovers. I'm like, no, I told you no. I told you I wasn't going to do this at all from the beginning. And apparently I'm a bad guest because of that. Because I don't like a charcuterie board of fucking onions and shit all over a pizza. I just like a straight plain pepperoni. So, and like I said, he basically eats 3 large meals, like 2,000 or 3,000 calorie meals a day. And he's like, what can I lose weight? I'm like, no shit, you eat like 6,000 calories a day.
Hashtag pray for Micah.
You know, like you only need to eat like 2,000 calories a day in a normal meal. We've watched my 600-pound life. You know what the fuck's going on. So, eventually things split up. I do order food because I'm not eating any of Micah's food. Like I told him, I'm not eating any of that shit. So I go see my buddy Porcupine. So I don't have to have a weird interaction with Micah's mom about him doing hardcore anal to me and I paying him $10. So, I see Porcupine. He's a friend forever. He knows who he is. We've been friends basically since Kansas days, Thing is, he's a real adult with kids and a normal job, and which is boring. So I'm not going to talk about his job. I've apparently never met either of his kids. Oldest one's 3 years old, and then the new one, or almost 3 years old. She's almost 3. She'll be 3 in August. Like I was like, she better not have the same birthday as me. And she was like, I'm going to be born a couple days before that then. And then I met the new one. The new one was, the almost 3-year-old was like nervous around me, which is like most women who are nervous around me. But I never expected from like almost 3-year-olds, I only expected from like women my own age. That's just
this is the type of guy you get.
So that's one thing. And then I got to hang out with the fresh one. I call him like, is this the fresh one? I'm like, that's not how you describe babies. And I'm like, can I order? And he's like, yeah, just make sure her head has some support. I'm like, okay. So I put like my head like, like this, and then her head's like, ugh. I'm like, oh, that's why you want to do that. You need to fucking get some fucking neck muscles, dude. I know you're 2 months old, but like still, like you gotta gain some neck muscles. She probably will. He has 2 girls. And then I'm just like, I'll put you down like this. I'm like, yeah, you're cool. So she's cool. I like both the kids. And then, like, we were hanging out, like, outside his apartment, like, trying to figure out shit like that. Just talking. And then, like, the oldest one, like, kept waking up, running outside, talking to mom. I'm like, he was like, yeah, she's had a problem sleeping since day one. I'm like, yeah. I showed him Go the Fuck to Sleep, especially the audiobook by Samuel L. Jackson. It's great. And we discussed, like, is it unethical to put a child in a deadlock to get them to go to sleep? There's a lot of ethics there that we did not discuss. All right, I guess we're going to go to Monday. Foreman, Austin Doyle, wanted to get lunch with me at like 3:30, which is like a time I would eat lunch, but I usually eat one meal a day because I'm a healthy person. We go to a place called the Vietnam Cafe, which is a great restaurant. I will tell you, it is a great restaurant. However, I've never eaten Vietnamese food before, so I'm picky. So all I'm trying to order is just like chicken and rice, some form of their chicken, whatever form of chicken this country has, and some rice. That's all I want. So the menu is in Vietnamese, but then has the English translation of the ingredients underneath. And my brain was like, apparently I have to order in Vietnamese. Apparently no one orders in Vietnamese. They just say what they want and they bring it out to them. Because I don't know how this restaurant works. All restaurants should work the same. That's how I live my life, unless you're like, we're a buffet, and then maybe that's a little different. So I tried to order chicken and Austin ordered chicken curry, and I apparently ordered like beef pho or whatever it is. So Austin ate the beef pho, and I took his chicken curry, because I can, because you tricked me into put me in an uncomfortable situation. And then that didn't help when we went back to Micah's. Micah's like, you wouldn't eat the chicken curry I have, and you ate chicken curry. I'm like, Micah, I don't know what food you made, and I don't know how old it's been in your fridge. I don't know if I want to eat that fucking shit. Calm down. And then he has Micah has the audacity to tell Austin that when recording Cancel Schweezy with me, he felt really dark. I'm like, fuck you, Micah. You're a dark human being too. At least I'm fucking honest about my shit. Anyways, though, I've been talking a lot of shit about Micah.
Hashtag pray for Micah.
But no, he is a really good friend, and I do love the guy, and I'm really thankful for him in my life. So, eventually, we do record an episode of his podcast, which I don't know when he's releasing this shit. But it's going to be a good time. So basically, I told Micah to buy all this gear. I told Micah to buy gear that he would basically only need, all he need to do, he would never have to upgrade this shit. He'd basically have the gear to go full throttle from the beginning, and he would never have to upgrade anything. Maybe like if a cable breaks, buy a new one and shit like that. So I bought like the Rode pod mics and shit like that. Basically, I helped him get set up with his podcast, download the drivers for his Scarlett 18i8, which is like a 4-input Scarlett interface. Download Logic Pro on his computer, get that set up, and then walk him through how he would need to set up recording his podcast, bouncing it. Then I guess he's going to edit it in Premiere Pro, which I don't know how to use because I use Logic and Final Cut. So those are my two. And I was like, you already know Premiere, so just edit in that. So he's going to edit in that and shit like that. But it's going to be a good show. Hope you all excited to check it out. Basically, it's for white people who insist on seeing every socio-political conflict through the myopic lens of your own self-actualization. So if you're into that, if you're a white person and want to pretend that you're woke, go check out Micah's podcast. Not sure when it comes out, but I just want you to plug it on my show, and I'm going to plug it whenever he actually does release it. I will plug it on my show, so you better go check that shit out.
Pretty bold of you little fucks to assume that I'm not God.
So it's my final day. So I got my flight back to Nashville and everything, and I guess, I don't know how this happened. I wasn't there on the decision-making, but Foreman decided that he was going to give me a ride to the airport. I'm like, okay. But he wanted to take me to, like, Monarch Coffee, which I guess is his coffee shop that he works at. Not for much longer, but I guess he's part-time there. I don't know the full situation. I got a bag of beans there. Apparently, I got the cheap bag of beans only because I like the tasting notes on it. Apparently, I'm fucking trash.
That's rough, buddy.
But anyways, no, he's like, it was really cool. They had this drink, like it's like an orange creamsicle, which is really good. And I'm like, this tastes like one of those orange creamsicles. I'm like, yeah, that's what the drink's called. I'm like, oh, shit. I also had this one. It was espresso and like Fever Tree tonic water. It was really good. But I drank it really fast, which was not good when I was walking through the plane shit and whatever. So, but no, Monarch Coffee, Kansas City, really good. Go check that place out. Guess what?
And I really like that.
So, last off, he drops me off at the airport, and he tries to embarrass me with the, hey, don't forget your hemorrhoid cream joke, but he says it super quietly, so no one hears him. I'm like, okay, thanks. I'm like, don't worry, I have a bidet at home. I don't have to worry about that shit. But I eventually, get on the plane. I guess I put more in my bag than my backpack. So I typically travel, like I have my backpack I take on the plane with me, and then I take my suitcase, which is my checked baggage. That's the convenient part of Southwest Airlines. You get 2 checked bags, and because I know what I'm worth. And they're like, this is 2 pounds over the weight limit for this flight, and we don't want to charge you $75. I'm like, God fucking damn it. And I'm too Jewish to pay $75. So I have to like struggle to reorganize my bag, and it's already a fucking mess and barely fitting together. But eventually I get it to work, and that was just a pain in the ass. But the plane was fine. I didn't drink anything before I got on the plane. I did pour some Jameson in my complimentary Diet Coke, and then they're like, oh, we got some turbulence, chug your drinks. I'm like, fuck. And I just drank the whole thing. So the last part of this journey I want to talk about, when I got to the airport, I was in Gate D at B&A, Nashville International Airport, or whatever it's called. I don't know why it's called B&A.
That's rough, buddy.
But I see a sign. Like I said, I'm in Gate D. I see a sign that says Gates A, B, and C, right underneath it, baggage claim. So I thought it was baggage claim for Gates A, B, and C. So I'm walking around this entire fucking gate looking for baggage claim D for Gate D. Turns out they're all in the same area. So after like 30 minutes of wandering around with my already injured foot, perennial tendonitis, I end up, finding my way to the lift pickup area, and I make my way home, and it was good. So overall, it was a good trip. I did talk a lot of shit about Micah, but overall, I do love that guy. So if you want to fucking go against him.
Pretty bold of you little fucks to assume that I'm not God.
And I guess that's everything I have to say about my trip to Kansas City. A lot of fun, a lot of ups and downs. Hey, thank you for checking out that highlight from Cancel Schweezy. Now, I hope your brain cells don't hurt. We got more highlights available now everywhere. We also got more full episodes as well. If you want to watch a full episode of Cancel Schweezy, available now, right here, right now, available now. If you liked everything, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you get notified when new highlights and episodes come up. And leave a comment, like, and stay awesome.